the content.
Last party about a land. Is a land do this, and a land do that. Is a land do this. The man feel is smart. That is the strategy to keep people talking about he. Even the heavy roller, calling he Johnny Walker. Is a land do this, and a land do that. He brainwashing we, even that singing about he. Oh lad, is a land do this, a land do that. A land do this, a land do that. 15 do that. Walker, oh lad, a land, a land, a land.
And those we re-engineered are meant for our children, our future, our St. Lucia. The United Workers' Party Let's keep working. Over the past 5 years, every single decision we have taken has been to fertilize prosperity for today and to sow the seeds of progress for our nation 10 years from now. Every budget we delivered, every investment we attracted, every infrastructural project we approved, and those we re-engineered are meant for our children, our future, our St. Lucia. The United Workers' Party. Let's keep working.
Well, a special good night to all our viewers on Caribbean American News media platform. Folks, please share the live as you join us. Share the live, share the live. We are on here. It is 8:09 p.m. in my area in New York, and I am sure where you are, it's another time and another place. But welcome to Caribbean American News media platform. We have a special guest tonight that we will be introducing to you. But first of all, folks, how was your day? How was your weekend? How did you spend your Mother's Day? Here's hoping that you had yourselves a beautiful experience on Mother's Day. Please share the live, folks. Share the live as much as you can. We encourage you to share the live. Yes, share the live, folks. Tonight I have with me Brother Jimmy. We don't want to take a lot of time for our interviews, not interview, but our preliminaries. I want to give as much time to Jimmy tonight as we go through the St. Lucia Economic and Social review for the year 2023. I know a lot of people don't like numbers, they don't like figures, they get bored very easily when it comes to figures, but these figures are very important to you, the citizens of St. Lucia. And so Jimmy Haynes is here tonight with us so that he can take his time and go through the review. Also, we will be looking at the political ground game. And tonight we want to know from Jimmy, when he comes on, whether there's a shift, whether we need to abandon the ground game, whether the ground game is important for any political party in any country. So we're going to be digging, we're going to be getting into the bouillon of things. Please share the live. Those of you who are viewing through our YouTube channel, we welcome you. I see you're logging in nicely. Those on our Facebook channel, we greet you. Those on 360 Radio, we greet you. We have a new addition to our radio online platform. I believe it might be down or up. I don't know. I need to make some calls to see what is happening there. But we are also on Listen to My Radio, and very soon we'll be going 24 hours broadcast only on Listen to My radio frequency. All right, so folks, we want to thank you so much for being here with us. Share the live. It is very important that we get all our flabbos out. The phone lines will be open. The number 929-586-1821, that will get you live on the air. Please share, my friends. Wake up everybody, let them know that we are here with our brother Jimmy Haynes, and we're going to give him every time needed so that he can discuss. All right, let me just introduce Jimmy right away. He's not going to be visual, it's going to be audio because of circumstances, of course, but Jimmy is always welcome on this set. Jimmy has been, from the time I knew him, I got to know him, he has been a blessing to me, I can tell you. He guides me from the beginning. He started guiding me from the beginning when I came on, and he never left me, he never abandoned me. And so I want to thank Jimmy. I never took the time to thank him for his stick-to-itiveness in the cause and his boldness. Some people don't like the boldness. Some people get a little bent out of shape. But this is a democracy, friends. It's the democracy, and this is not a cult. Yes, we're not part of a cult. We're part of an organization where we have a lot of free moral agents. People can reason for themselves, and people should reason for themselves for the development, the betterment of the country, of the nation. All right. So in a minute, we're going to bring on Jimmy, let's get our introduction to the platform.
Welcome to Building Bridges, Conversations on Social Development, where we explore the power of connection, collaboration, and community in shaping a more inclusive and prosperous world. Join us as we delve into the key issues, innovative solutions, and inspiring stories that drive positive change and empower individuals and communities to thrive. Let's embark on this transformative journey together, uniting hearts and minds for a brighter future for all. Let's get to work with Garfield Oliver of Caribbean American News Media.
All right, so we are at work already, James. And so this time I want to introduce to you our listeners, Brother Jimmy Haynes. And most of you would know him. I believe he's from the community of Soufrière or Swazel, somewhere down there. But it's a beautiful community, folks. Whether it's Soufrière or Swazel, they are two beautiful communities. And so I introduce to you the one and only, yes, the undisputed, well, I don't know, undefeated, but he's the on everything, and he's here with us tonight. Some of you would have gotten mad with him once in your life, I'm sure. But he's here, he's not going anywhere. And so we welcome you, Jimmy, to the platform.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, Pastor Garfield.
Yes, sir.
How are you this evening?
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to an education.
Same here, same here. Actually, good evening to all your listeners and viewers across the platforms, across YouTube and on Facebook. And it's a real pleasure to be here this evening. I think I've taken the daunting task of trying to delve through and make a little bit of sense out of the social and economic review for 2023. And I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to be on this evening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you so much, Jimmy, for accepting and for being here with us. So we want to get right into, and remember, we also will be looking at the political ground game. Yes, so we're not going to miss that one for tonight. So Jimmy, I know that you had the opportunity to go through the economic report. You take over. You take the floor here.
Well, Pastor Garfield, I like reading about Dr. Martin Luther King. So even before I start, let me preface with a quote from him. Mm-hmm. And he says, "Speak up, because the day you don't speak up for the things that matter to you is the day your freedom truly ends. In the end, will we remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends." End quote. Sometimes many of us in St. Lucia, we refrain from speaking up. We refrain from the issues that really affect our nation. And because of our silence and our reluctance to speak, or even our fear of speaking, issues become, cancerous because we leave them unattended to, unaddressed. Yep. And then when it actually metastasizes, it's like a big sore that ruptures open. That's when we tend to want to put a plaster over it.
Yeah. Yep.
And when one looks at the economic and social review, and for your viewers and listeners, it's a document that's produced by the government of St. Lucia. And it's produced every year. And basically, it's a report on the performance of the government in a particular calendar year. So it doesn't follow the budgetary year or the financial year, which runs from April to April. It runs from January to December for the calendar year. And I characterize this particular social and economic review as a horror story. I listened to part of the Prime Minister's speech, his budget address, and then I also read part of it. And I was flummoxed because there is such a disparity between the picture that he paints about the performance of the government and the state of affairs in St. Lucia, and the picture that his technocrats have painted in the social and economic review, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
I can't believe that they come from the same place. Because in my mind, one comes from as far as Pluto, and the other one comes from as far as Mars.
Right.
And for example, in how well are we performing? And it's always relative. Huh? We need to look at these things, compare it to other countries, other islands who have similar circumstances, social and economic circumstances like ours. Now, the social and economic review is about 100 pages, and I'm not going to go through every item in there. I will just cover some of the main items. For example, our GDP growth, the growth of our economy, the state of our debt in St. Lucia, and I will look at some of our main sectors, productive sectors. For example, our tourism sector, our agricultural sector, our construction sector, a bit about our manufacturing sector, etc. And as I go, I will make some comparisons with other ECCU nations, for example, which means basically Eastern Caribbean Currency Union nations, which are basically many of the OECS countries, what we call the OECS countries. I'll make some comparisons so that we can actually see relatively where we stand. Now, in May of 2023, the IMF produced a report. And in that report, they forecasted that our economy would grow by 3% in 2023. Now, at the end, we have it in the report, it shows the actual growth of our economy in 2023.
Yeah.
Now, to put it in perspective, the average growth, economic growth, real economic growth in the Eastern Caribbean was about 4.4% or 4.3%, right? So that's between St. Vincent, Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, Dominica, St. Lucia, etc. The highest growth was achieved in or attained in St. Vincent. That was 6%.
6%, yes.
6% in St. Vincent. Now, like I said, the average was 4.3%. St. Lucia came in the last.
Wow.
You know, there was something I remember kids at school, you know, when you fail in a race or at class, you know, exams, they say, you say, Denyeti Kakawat. And so we've got the ignominy of being the Denyeti Kakawat in the ECCU nations in terms of our economic development. Our GDP growth was at 2.2%. Now, compare that to the year before, where it was 20.5%.
That's 2000. So, that's 22.
Yes, 2022. So, in other words, our economy declined by a few 100%.
Boy. Wow.
Now, if you listen to the Prime Minister's address, you would not have heard that. Now, for me, that's a disaster. Although the 11.5% that we grew by in 2022, that's after the COVID, and we know what the economic fallout was from COVID, our economy contracted by 24.5%. And that was simply because our country was closed and there was no tourism.
Right, no activity. Yeah.
No activity. Yeah. So the then Prime Minister, Alan Shasney, always said that as soon as tourism rebounds, the economy will come back.
And he was accused of being a madman, right?
Well, you know, it takes a madman to know a madman. That's what my father told me.
Yeah.
But let's go back to our economy.
Yeah.
If our economy only grew by 2.2%, do you think the other figures that the government presented us could be true? For example, in the midst of that growth, that that sort of piecemeal growth, it's like just inching away, 2.2%. The government also boasts that unemployment has gone down to 14%. 14%. So it makes us get a little bit wary about these figures, and we need to look at the different sectors to see why did we grow so slowly, or is it as magnificent as the Prime Minister made it out to be? So bear with me.
Go ahead.
As I'm going to rifle through the book and pull the appropriate pages, and I am going to now go into the meat of my presentation. But feel free to ask me questions at any point. I want it to be a discussion rather than a lecture.
No problem. No problem. Yes. I'm interested in the agricultural sector.
You're interested in agriculture?
Yeah, agriculture. Yes.
Well, I will. I like to make I like to be a little bit of Santa Claus.
Yeah.
and make people's dreams come true.
Oh my.
So I'll go to page 49 in chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
And we will agriculture. I know you don't have a book to follow.
I have something.
So at least those of you who may have a copy or see the Social Economic Review, the figures I'm going to refer to now are found in chapter 3 on page 49, and it covers the agricultural sector. Now, we know there was a time where St. Lucia was the leading OECS country when it came to banana production and agriculture.
Yeah.
Just like we were the beacon of economic success in the OECS. I mean, all the other OECS countries looked to St. Lucia to set, the path, the trail. We were the trailblazers. But now, as we said, St. Lucia is Denyeti Kakawat. St. Vincent, Grenada. Can you believe Dominica and these countries doing better than us today?
Yep. Well, St. Vincent kind of shocked me. Yeah.
I mean, and going to continue unless I feel that this government makes changes with some of the policies that it has implemented, because really and truly, sorry, I have given you the wrong section for agriculture. That's actually for something else.
Yes, I was.
I shifted location when we spoke the last time, and it looks like I left some of my notes where I was. So I am now going to rack it through. But anyway, agriculture declined by 17.2% last year.
Oh my God.
17.2% last year. And, when I read that, I then understood why the Prime Minister, in his address, had only one sentence, 2 lines, one sentence in his address, his budget address about agriculture. He deliberately withheld the reality. He used all these glowing terms about came to the of agriculture. The food, what keeps our nation, people, information from us. And the story is not to do with banana. I remember during the election campaign, there was this, I think it was a guy from France, and he's the effect like flat down. It was meant to describe the state of the party. And Actually, in the elections, it seemed that the United Workers' Party was flat down Platate because we took a real beating.
Right.
52.
That's
You know,
right.
so but I hate to say it, agriculture in our country is now flat down Platate.
Yeah, because
A decline of 17.2%. And we can remember the days of green gold, bananas, when these long lines go into the wharfs in Vieux and in Castries, and these of vehicles, trucks, and pickup trucks, all loaded to the hilt, 10, 15 boxes high, loaded with bananas going to England, to the United Kingdom.
um,
Do you know that the United Kingdom suspended trade with St. Lucia on bananas?
so we do not ship bananas to the United Kingdom anymore.
Let me give you something. Let me just run through some figures with you.
Uh-huh.
The figures I'm giving you right now, these are not in the Economic and Social Review.
Okay.
These figures are from the Department of Statistics, St. Lucia's Department of Statistics. And it's banana production and the revenue derived from banana production. And I'm going to just go back to 2016 and start from there. So in 2016, St. Lucia exported just over 7,000 tons of bananas to the UK. And the revenue was just below $13 million.
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, by which time the United Workers' Party government was in office,
Yeah.
St. Lucia exported almost 9,000 boxes of bananas. That's an increase of almost 2,000.
That's right.
And the revenue was about $14.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018, St. Lucia produced, not exported. The revenue is from the exports.
Right.
Produced 14,700 tons of bananas.
Mm.
That's an 1,000. Revenue from that in 2018 was $23,200,000. In 2019, 11,623 tons. Revenue of about $18 million.
Mm-hmm.
2020, COVID, and we had a hurricane in COVID, during the COVID period. Some people tend to forget that.
Yes.
There was a hurricane in June of 2020. And we produced 8,400 tons of bananas with revenue of $13,700,000. Do you know, last year, we produced 3,593 tons of bananas.
No.
Export revenue, wait for that, export revenue to the UK of $400,000.
No. That can't be true. If this is the truth, Jimmy, it means that the banana industry is finished. It's done.
But that's why I said I hate to say it, but it's flat down Platate.
2003, Jimmy, 3,000 tons, $400,000.
Yes, 2023. It's just a very dismal story. It's heartbreaking because there are people who are experiencing financial hardship as a result of the incompetence of the government in addressing the issues that confront and the challenges that confront the farmers. They have now waited until the Prime Minister is at what he calls his wit's end before they've started to try to address the situation. And most times when this happens, it's when it's too late. So banana production in St. Lucia fell by over 45%. And
Wow.
and I will go through some of the figures, but to compound matters, remember sometime around March, April, the banana farmers, were complaining about that's of this year, right? They were complaining
Yeah.
that they had no boxes to package their fruit.
Right. Right. Adding
Okay.
insult to
Now,
injury.
this is a time where the banana farmers were recovering,
Mhm.
that they were producing more. They're kind of recovering. But then there were no boxes so they could export to markets like Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, which are the new regional markets that they have recently, have arrangements with. They've recently made arrangements with. So they're finding markets to replace the UK market. And now they can't even supply those markets to the extent where Barbados started getting bananas from the Dominican Republic and threatened to break ties with this nascent market, this new market, St. Lucia, threatened to break ties because the St. Lucian market is
It's
unreliable.
unreliable. Yes. Yes. But Jimmy, I remember before you go forward, I remember when the SLP came into power, and even before they got into power during the campaign, they accused the United Workers' Party of killing the banana industry. They laughed at Mr. Shastney with his attempt to get bananas over to Martinique.
uh, you know, um, of course, that's the politics of some people believe politics is to fool people, and it's disgusting that certain politicians engage in this deceitful and really insultive. I call it an insult
Mm-hmm.
to deliberately feed people wrong information. We all know in St. Lucia that the Labour Party has been responsible for the demise of the farmers, and especially the banana farmers in St.
Yeah.
Lucia.
Yeah. Well
And this
documented.
2020, yes, this 2023 report is a evidence, clear evidence of the, I call, malpractice and incompetence of this Minister of Agriculture and by extension the government of St. Lucia,
It
this
seems like this
SLP
minister, I
administration.
thought that guy from Vieux Fort, former minister of agriculture under the SLP, I thought he was the worst, but it seems to me that Prosper have actually done what no other minister of agriculture has done, and that is to bury bananas.
You see, agriculture, absolutely, agriculture in 2021, the year that the United Workers' Party government demitted office,
Mm,
agriculture grew by 9.1%, or the
bananas.
banana production.
Mm-hmm.
And even in 2022, it grew by 4.5%. And then to decline by such a disastrous amount, almost 50%. So banana production in 2023 was at a historic low. It has never been that low since records have been kept.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
3,593.4 tons. And of that amount, 2.2, just about 2.284,
Mm-hmm.
2,284 tons was exported, was for the export market, right?
Yeah.
And they earned $2.4 million. Sorry, $2.8 million.
2.8 or 9?
Well, 2 point, in the economic review, they rounded it up to 2.8,
Oh, okay.
of which 8.4 tons was exported to the UK, earning $400,000. Now, let's put that in perspective. There were farmers in St. Lucia, banana farmers,
Mm-hmm.
earning gross more than $400,000 a year from bananas.
It,
Today,
farmers?
yes,
That's good.
right. Today, the entire exports to the UK derives revenue of $400,000. C'était l'argent yon femme te ka
One
fait.
farmer, yes.
L'année.
Yes. Mama.
Yon femme.
Ça mauvais.
Et c'est là nous arrivons là à présent, en
Oui.
bas gouvernement ça là.
Oui.
Et
Because
puis c'est femme qui a helé. Puis les pani boîte. Après, bagay ha mauvais qu'on il a flat down, flat à terre.
yeah, because
Pani boîte.
I'm looking at agriculture, banana exports, and it has gone down significantly, like you said. These are real figures we're looking at here.
Yes, this is the horror story that I told you. That's what's in here.
But
The banana exports have gone down by 55.4%, more than
but
half.
that's not what they were saying to us. They were boasting that they're a prudent government and they have done better than any other administration in the history of St. Lucia. And just reading the report, the economic review and social report, I'm greatly concerned.
If your production is down by 45% and your exports, which is where you derive your foreign currency from,
Yes.
is also down by 55%, more than half.
Yes.
What words can
55.4.
you use to explain or describe such a situation apart from disaster?
Yep.
It is
Yep.
worse than a hurricane.
Yep. That's right.
It is worse than a hurricane. The banana industry was decimated in 2023 under the policies of this Labour Party administration. Okay? Now, it's not just bananas. I mean, if it was just bananas, one could say, okay, maybe there was, the UK market and a few excuses here. But even non-banana produce, which is normally, in St. Lucia, we normally sell that to farmers, normally sell those produce to hotels and supermarkets.
Right. How did that go?
Non-banana crop purchases by hotels and supermarkets was down by 15.2%.
Oh, jeez. Oh, boy.
15.2% to 2,878.7 tons. Now, down. Everything is falling down. Everything is falling down. Livestock subsector was down by 8%.
That's pigs, chicken, and those things. Cochon.
There was a combined decrease of 17.3% in chicken and pork production.
But do you have any idea why is that so? Are we importing more foreign chicken into the country?
Well, we have to when our production goes down.
If our production
cannot sustain if our production cannot satisfy the demand, and even the local demand in our supermarkets, I'm not even talking about the hotels, because the hotels will be the first to import when they can't get what they need locally.
Right.
And so these sort of figures that we're talking about the sales revenue in 2023 was about $38.3 million. That's a lot of money to farmers. Now, if it went down by 7.8%, then you know that the year before, it was over 40-something million. Egg production fell by 7.8% to 1.7 million dozens, resulting in lower earnings of 14.6 million. Despite the price of eggs went up, So even with the price increase in eggs, that precipitous fall, resulted in a drop in revenue. And it's not just the percentage drops that are important. What affects our farmers and our economy is the amount of money that is being lost.
Wow.
When a farmer, all of the farmers' bananas, because of there are no boxes, They feed their pigs now with bananas, to the point where this farmer who I spoke to told me, Jimmy, my pigs are refusing to eat bananas. You are
lasek fig.
And that she says to me, and maybe she's listening to the show this evening, that she has 4 workers who work with her, have been working with her for years. And she's considering laying off 2 of them, if not 3 of them, because she can't afford them. She's lost that much revenue. Wow. She has no experience, didn't sell anything, didn't export anything in March and April. So this is just a complete disaster.
So in the agricultural sector, we can clearly say to our listeners, based on, and most of our listeners, I'm sure, have not read it. So, Jimmy, I'm happy that you're taking your time and you're going through this report. So in the agricultural sector, what we are seeing is massive decline. Massive decline across the board.
You know, just compare this. In 2020, one of the fallouts of the COVID-19 pandemic was a contraction in our economy of 24.5%. And we know what it felt like. So just imagine a banana farmer with a contraction in production and in revenue of over 50%. How devastating that must be for the farmer and his or her ability to feed their family, to sustain their business, to pay their loans for the vehicles and stuff that they have, and to, pay their mortgages, to just live, especially in a climate where we have rising cost of food prices, unnecessarily high gas prices, and we'll look at that too.
Yes.
And also inflation. These are dire economic times for a very large segment of our population. The fishing sector, it didn't go unscathed.
How is that
it too peut block.
Il peut block too?
It peut block too. It peut block.
How's that?
Wild marine capture, and normally they refer to things like, a lobster and those things, was down 4.6%.
4.6%.
So everything was impacted in the agricultural sector. And if agriculture tends to be our second most productive sector of our economy, a sector second to tourism, a sector that is for the sustenance of human life, to feed our people, to keep down our food import bill, so we can retain some of our foreign currency. Can you imagine the negative impact on our economy?
My Lord.
So when the government portrays through a parade and a facade, creating a false facade to give people a wrong impression of the times that we live in, that is dishonesty.
Because, Jimmy, I would prefer the government to be upfront and truthful by the citizens of the country, tell us the truth. And I think that they're only playing with the minds of those who do not read, there are a lot of St. Lucians who will not go online and look for this report, and so they will just swallow everything that they're hearing from the government in the House. But they did not explain anything on agriculture really to us at the last debate.
And the worst thing about it, Pastor Garfield, it's not just that the sector is in trouble. Not only would we have loved to hear them, but it's their responsibility to report that our banana industry or agricultural industry is in a mess. it is also the responsibility to tell us how they're going to correct it.
Yes, that's right.
And one would have thought that the government would have explained to the people of St. Lucia, particularly the farmers,
But they're not even acknowledging, Brother Jimmy, that there's a problem. They're not acknowledging that there's a major problem, especially in agriculture.
Major problem. It is a very major problem.
You're talking about food security when you talk about agriculture.
Major problem. Now, the government has gone into some arrangement. I think the government of Taiwan has assisted them, and they've put in some measures in place. And it's not for me to communicate that, because I think the government of St. Lucia has taken 3/4 of the media personnel who worked for the media prior to July 2021, and they are now all in the corridors of government. So they have a responsibility to tell people what they are doing to correct and to bring back and to resuscitate or resurrect. If I mean resuscitate, say resurrect Saint Lazarus.
Yeah.
Because remember, when Jesus Christ, he took time to go to Lazarus. He didn't go right away when he got the news.
Nope.
Il était à senti.
That's right.
Et puis, agriculture right now. Moi-même dis ça comment, peut-être yon des moun qui senti koyo enfoncé, là moi dis ça. Mais agricole ka senti, il a mort.
Il y a mort, oui.
Il y a ka point vert.
Oui.
Il y a ka point vert.
Oui.
Et while il ka point vert, gouvernement ça ka try métier bagay dazzle moun, dazzle mais bay ka clairer devant yo.
Yeah. Well, the farmers are the ones who know what is happening on their fields, and they are the ones that need to speak up, speak out.
And that's why I read that quote from Martin Luther King before I spoke, before I started my presentation. A friend of mine told me a story, and I laughed. It was not to do with this, but I never forgot that story. And once I even saw something written similar on social media and on Facebook. And the story goes like this, and it may not be appropriate for many ears. Some people might feel a bit uncomfortable, but it's not derogatory or, lewd or anything. This guy went to a nightclub, and was having a good time, and he saw this most beautiful woman. And so he went over to her, and she smiled, and he danced and bought her drinks and everything and went home with her. Most beautiful woman. And the next morning when he woke up, he didn't see her there in the bed, but he heard some noise in the adjoining bathroom. But when he got up, when he stood up, he looked and he saw hair on the floor. A big, some hair. And he looked, he saw false breasts on the floor.
Whoa.
In another corner, he saw false bum over there.
Mercy.
And then he looked, he saw false eyelashes over there.
Lord.
And over there were false nails.
He's having a bad day.
So when he opened the door, because this was this voluptuous woman, with huge breasts, hips, and everything to bagay. And when he opened the bathroom door, he looked, he saw it was a man.
All that glitters is not gold.
And this is what the Labour Party government has tried to do to St. Lucians with this year's budget.
Yeah.
They have tried to make people believe it is what it is not.
Yeah.
If it was only the agricultural sector that had performed so miserably, it may have been acceptable.
But remember, Jimmy, earlier in the game, remember the Prime Minister told the St. Lucians to eat all the figs. And now we hear that the pigs are refusing to eat all the figs. So I don't know. Something's wrong.
Okay, well, thankfully that box thing seems to have been resolved.
Oh, good. Thank
because
God.
the government did order 17,000 boxes from Dominican Republic last month, and also 12,000 boxes from Miami.
And they did
I
put some
think the
money
plant,
aside for the farmers who suffered.
right,
Mm-hmm.
the plant is up and running.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what they have announced is $400,000 of inputs to NFTO for banana and plantain farmers. It's going to be distributed as follows: 250-kilogram bags of fertilizer per acre, and 2 liters of nematicides. Nematicide, you know, these things for the worms and those nematodes per acre.
Yeah.
That's the arrangement for them.
That's it?
You know? See, somewhere government will announce it. I saw it in a press statement on Loop News, St. Lucia Loop News. So there may be some other little 1.5. I know they give some farmers, so they're giving some farmers in Soufriere 1.5 and so forth.
Okay.
So I'm sure there are other components of this grant aid package that will come through. But if the government announces all of these things, it will start making people question, why are they giving farmers all of this? Because they have not told St. Lucians that the agriculture is plagued down, all fall down.
Because they're trying to keep the farmers quiet. They're trying to keep the farmers in the field with their mouths shut.
And trying to keep the people in the dark.
Yeah.
Let's go and look at our most productive sector.
Yes. Is that tourism?
Tourism.
Yeah.
My favorite sector. I've been in that sector for a while.
Oh, good.
I'm not a big player. But I've been involved in community tourism for a while. So Gros Piton, Tet Paul, Super Foundation, Sulphur Springs Park, all of these things. I've been involved at the highest level, at some in pioneering and founding member level. Yeah. So I have a little inkling about tourism. Now, it amazed me. It amazed me, but didn't surprise me when the Prime Minister then, as the leader of the opposition, described one of the, after COVID, the United Workers' Party put together a social and economic recovery plan.
Right.
We all know part of that recovery plan was reopening the borders of St. Lucia in July of 2020, because it was the philosophy of the government that lives and livelihoods matter, and both of them needed to be protected. Because there's no point if you were safe, your health was safe, but you couldn't afford to eat and sustain yourself. So both of those components were given equal attention, and therefore the markets, the boundaries, were reopened for tourism business in a phased development. And I couldn't believe it when I heard the interview where the now Prime Minister, says that the then Prime Minister, Alan Chasney, was the only leader in the world who believed that tourism would rebound.
Yeah, he did say that.
And therefore, he said, if that is the case, he then therefore said, why are we building this big airport? Because we're expecting so many people who would come in to pay for it. So that means we need to downsize the airport.
Yeah, because the Prime Minister is the only person in the world who believes that tourism will come back.
Now, there is a funny thing in life. It's like they say, words are very powerful.
Yeah.
And the words you use will come back to you.
Will come back.
So there are 11 countries so far in the Caribbean who have their performance, the arrivals, the visitor arrivals for 2023 surpass 2019, pre-COVID times. In our case, 2019 was a record year when it came to revenue derived from tourism and also arrivals. Okay? Our Prime Minister and our Minister of I think I should mention some of those countries so that
Yes.
people can get your visitors can get your sorry listeners and viewers can get an idea of which countries we're talking about. You know, in the Caribbean, we experienced 56.8% growth, tourism growth, in visitation growth over 2022 as a Caribbean, you know, as a destination with all the Caribbean islands put together. 11 countries have surpassed, they've exceeded the numbers that they produced in 2019. These countries include Anguilla, Aruba, Curacao, Dominican Republic, Grenada,
Yeah.
Guyana. I thought Guyana was well known now. I'm going to say real petroleum Guyana cafe. But Guyana has Via Guyana, who doesn't even concentrate on tourism, Zeo Feme.
Yeah.
And eyes closed, we already surpassed the 2019 figures.
My God.
Jamaica, Puerto Rico, St. Martin, Turks and Caicos Islands, and the US Virgin Islands have all performed and are performing better than 2019. So, how about St. Lucia?
Talk to me.
How about St. Lucia? Well, first, I can say that, let me take us out of suspense. You did not hear me mention St. Lucia's name.
No.
So that obviously means that St. Lucia is not one of the Caribbean destinations that have surpassed or even equaled the 29 figures, or even come close to it.
Do you have the 29
Now,
figures for St. Lucia? 2019.
Not in my hands as we speak. I can access it maybe as we go along, but I don't have it in front of me as we speak.
But we would have 2022.
I have some of 2022 in front of me.
Yeah.
When I make some of the comparisons, but
Okay, good.
I may refer to what the declines are. I may not tell you what the numbers in terms of visitation
that's
was.
okay.
But let's look at the stayover market first. Remember, the first comparison I'm going to make is not with 2019, but it's with 2022. So our stayover arrivals grew to 380,791. That's an increase of 6.9% above the 2022 figures. Okay? It makes it the fourth best year that we've ever had in stayover arrivals. And listen to the years that were.
Go ahead.
That was last year, 2023.
23.
Listen to the years that were better than it. And it will tell us a big story. 2017, 2018, 2019.
Whoa.
Who was the Minister of Tourism then?
Is it Dominic?
Dominic Fede. Who was the Prime Minister of St. Lucia then?
Alan Shastney.
The same madman.
The same madman.
Who didn't know that tourism would rebound, who was the only one who felt that tourism would rebound. Book 4, Num 4. He has the record in 2017, 2018, and 2019 that up to now, 3 years going in this administration, with all the gla and everything else that they're throwing up in the air to sort of veglate the people. So they're keeping them drunk and dancing and staying out late. They haven't realized that we are still in the wake of 2019, 2018, and 2017. Those were under the United Workers' Party and the Minister of Tourism, who's now Senator Dominic Fede, and the leader of the opposition, who then was the Prime Minister.
Wow, great
So
job.
if I am going to get on a train with a Nomfu driver, I will get on the train with the Nomfu driver who breaks records,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
not the one who break. The only records he breaks is how big the lies they tell.
You know, the Prime Minister, Jimmy, went to England and he told the people that he never understood tourism. But he was tourism minister at some point. He said he never understood the importance of tourism.
Well, you know, Kenny Anthony is partly responsible for that. Because Kenny Anthony, in his poor judgment, appointed then Mr. Philip J.P. as the Minister of Tourism. So Mr. Prime Minister now, Philip J.P., he bien fait this, because what he was saying is that Kenny had no reason to appoint him Minister of Tourism.
Because he never understood
And you know when Kenny had to take him out of that position, vite ma.
Oh, he did?
And had to put in a greenhorn. Yes, he put in a greenhorn minister, Minister Rembali, to replace him, who had no experience at all.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah. C'est ça qui fait. That's what happens. The figure, that performance, 380,791 stayover visitors, was 10.1% behind the record set in 2019. And actually, the number in 2019 was 423,736 stayover visitors.
Wow, 423.
So that's over 42 or 43,000 more tourists in the year.
Because not even
so
in
just
22,
imagine.
or not even in 22, we could have done that.
No, but in 23, we were 6.9% above 22.
Yeah, 22 and 23.
Right. So you know what that translates
into? Jimmy. So as you said, the record is with the United Workers' Party.
Absolutely.
And this is a fact.
So whereas 11 other Caribbean destinations have surpassed their 2019 figures, here we are languishing at the back again.
But why is
so
it
we're
so?
languishing at the back. Then it's kakawat when it comes to our economic development. And we are now languishing in the back with our agriculture. It's flat down, platate. And our tourism that everybody seems to be boasting, what some people don't realize. And I'll tell you even more of the horror story. So I'm hoping that people, they've got their snacks out. Because, in these horror stories, all of a sudden the Dracula just appears on the screen and took one guy.
Yeah, they got to hold on to their popcorn.
The Dracula is still coming. 43,000 more tourists. That means we have lost we could have had 43,000 more people paying the airport redevelopment tax of about $100 US.
Wow.
At the airport. Right? We lost that. We are losing the nights they would have spent in the hotel. The head tax for the overnighting in the hotels, which goes to the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, which they use to market St. Lucia. Yeah. We've lost that. We've lost 3 meals a day for those 40-something thousand people. Whether they would have bought it in the hotels, in the Airbnbs, whether they would have bought it at restaurants, on the roadsides, we've lost that.
Talk to me.
The souvenirs that they would have purchased, we've lost that. The sites like the Sulphur Springs and the Fondues and the Toral Waterfall and the bamboo rafting at Roseau, we've lost that. We've lost all that foreign currency, the revenue. So while they are jumping and whining and gyrating in jazz, they should be looking at the poor performance of the tourism industry and seeing how they can correct it. And you know the reason why? There were declines last year in the US and European markets. These are our two main source markets. Why? Because there was a decrease in airlift.
Oh yeah, there was an airlift problem. Yeah.
Between June and August. So although we experienced some increases in May because of jazz, and the majority of that increase came from the regional, from the French islands like Martinique, etc. Yeah. I know people came over for jazz, But between June and August, the European and US markets declined 11.9% in June, 19.5% in July,
Yeah.
and 16.1% in August.
Mm.
And even with the increases that they boast about because of jazz last year,
Yeah.
the Caribbean arrivals is at 55.2% of its 2019 levels. That means we have received just over half of the people who visit St. Lucia as tourists compared to 2019. Does that sound like a good story?
Oh, sound like a horror story to me. These are not good figures.
There was a 2.1% decline in the US market, which accounts for over 50% of our stayover visitors. There was a 12.5% decline in airlift from the US. There were flights used to come in from Texas and all of those places. We lost all those flights. So if there's no planes to bring the people over, it means two things. Of course, they have to travel to other areas, so the travel becomes more expensive. The demand is higher than the supply. So therefore, the flights, the cost of the airfare is more expensive to St. Lucia. So it makes St. Lucia now less competitive in a
Right.
very competitive global market.
And I see
Even in the Caribbean.
St. Vincent is experiencing an increase of airlift now. JetBlue has extended their services to St. Vincent for the first time.
There you go. There
From
you go.
JFK to New York to Argyle in St. Vincent.
But St. Vincent de Bell Airport, Go Airport, modern airport.
New-
What has our government done about our airport?
Yeah.
Remember, the Prime Minister said that he felt that Alan Chastanet was the only leader in the world. And therefore, if the airport loan is supposed to be repaid by the taxes collected at the airport, and you don't believe that tourism will rebound, do you think you will build that airport?
No, you will downsize that thing. You'll cut that.
And that's what he has done because he's short-sighted, il n'a pas de vision. He has no vision. So he has prolonged. By now, the airport should have been completed.
That's right.
This brand new modern airport. He has deprived St. Lucia of having to be able to boast that we have an airport. Dominica is putting a big airport together right now.
Yep.
And we are coming into an airport. We have to walk through the rain or the Hudson, or whether it be hailstones. And I'm not even talking about the visitors. I'm talking about us. We have to walk through that. After paying all of these taxes, have the indignity and inconvenience to face these situations when all other countries in the world are moving forward. Ours is going backward with T-boutique economic and social developmental policies.
And the truth is, Jimmy, when I travel to St. Lucia, I get very frustrated. One, you have to walk down this high plane, all these stairs going down. If you have arthritis, you have issues with joints, you have a big problem, you have a major problem in getting down those stairs and even going up the stairs. When I travel to St. Vincent and other countries, I just walk straight out of the airline into the building. I don't get wet. The sun does not affect me. Nothing bothers me. The cold, nothing. I walk from the plane straight into the airport, brother, in comfort.
Well, our government, our Prime Minister, our Minister of Finance doesn't have the vision to see that tourism numbers can grow. And it will grow, that tourism would have rebounded to pre-COVID numbers and could surpass that. Because the government of the United Workers' Party always believed that they would be able to grow, one, the cruise industry, to 1 million passengers a year, and also the stayover market, which would have minted St. Lucia from the airport redevelopment tax and from the arrivals or departures, whichever way it went when they paid for it.
So the development, Jimmy, for the development at the airport in Vieux Fort was not really a burden on taxpayers.
There was monies earmarked for it. The airport development airport development tax, as it was called, or is called, was primarily a big portion of it, a percentage of it was earmarked to repay the loan.
Yeah. Right.
So that loan from the Taiwanese government, that loan of 100 and the amount, I think the project cost was about 150,000 US. That would have been paid from the airport development tax.
So it had its
They didn't tax us St. Lucians, by introducing some fake 2.5% health and security tax. They were taxing the people who traveled.
But
the visitors.
Alison Jur, Stevenson King, the SLP gangs said to the people of St. Lucia that the Alan Chastney administration, he is putting a tremendous burden on the people of St. Lucia at the Vieux Fort, the Huronora International Airport, based on the arrangement, the financial arrangement that he got into for the renovation of the thing.
I mean, I laugh because I think of, as you say that, I just think of the GPS arrangement, and
GPS
when we
GPH?
talk about GPH, sorry,
Yes.
when we talk about putting people under duress. These guys need to be careful because that's what they should be speaking about, and not about the Huronora International Airport. Tourism is the largest industry in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the most resilient industries.
Yeah.
Even after 9/11, tourism rebounded.
Yes.
We've had several hurricanes, including Hurricane Thomas. Tourism rebounded quickly.
It has stood the
COVID,
test of time. Yeah.
Tourism rebounded.
Yeah.
It has rebounded so much so that countries like Jamaica, Guyana, and Grenada, and Turks and Caicos, and the Virgin Islands have all surpassed their pre-COVID records. The Minister of Tourism in Jamaica actually says now his new record is 2023.
2023.
It's his new record for tourism arrivals.
Wow.
He's not even talking pre-COVID anymore.
Because
Post-COVID.
coming out of COVID, the Alan Chastney's UWP administration, these guys had a beautiful plan for the rebound of the tourism industry. These guys were preparing to take advantage of this rush, this massive rush of tourists into the region. And I believe, honestly, Jimmy, that if the Alan Chastney UWP administration was still in power, we would have seen totally different numbers, because they were focusing on airlift, which is important, and promotion of the product. So promotion of the product, marketing, and airlift.
Absolutely. You see, there's a difference between having a plan and having no plan.
They had a lot of plan with no plans.
Well, you see, that's the thing. The Labour Party is good in its politicking. When I won't even say it's good, because the type of politicking, it's very deceitful, very dishonest.
It's nasty.
In its campaigning, and nasty.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they don't respect the people of St. Lucia, because if they respected the people of St. Lucia, they would have presented a plan. They would have come into government with a plan and started working on the plan. So when they came in, they basically they traveled on Alan Chastney's UWP Economic and Social Recovery Plan.
Yep.
Right? That navigated them through the treacherous waters of post-COVID.
Yep.
So therefore, when you look at certain numbers, like the numbers of 11.5 economic growth in 2021. And 2021, and 20.5 or something somewhere in that region for 2022. That's because these are the wins of the Alan Shastney Economic and Social Recovery Plan.
Can't argue with
But
that.
by which time now, the Labour Party has been able to implement their policies, their programs, their projects. And what did we find? 2.2%. Drops in agriculture, drops in tourism, because we are now under the same guys who don't know how to manage.
But
they cannot deliver.
They can't.
They
Jimmy,
speak the game.
Sorry, Jimmy, can you look at cruise, the cruise sector, very important sector, and especially with the GPH discussion
in
that
fact,
we're having?
Let me let's go to that.
Yeah, I want to see what is happening there.
Okay. Now, our entire tourism industry, let's go back to that, in that we are performing at 80% of our arrivals. So, for example, our visitor arrivals last year, 2023, which is the year in the report, was about 1,047,000 visitors, right?
Right.
That's about 80.9% of what we got in 2019.
So you're looking at a 42.1% increase.
That was an increase from 2022. But we're still behind by almost 20%.
20%.
In our, when we put cruise and stay over together.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, of course, that's the reason, because we looked at our UK market that fell. We look at our American market, our main source markets fell. Our Caribbean market is only 55% of what it was in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but then again, do you know that there were no cruise ships in St. Lucia from June, absolutely none, from June to July of 2023? And there were very few calls, like maybe one a month or two a month in May of 2023. So if you have no tourists at all for 4 months, what do you expect? A decline.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's no surprise that we're still 80% at 80% of the figure.
Yeah.
Now, when we look at our just one sec.
You're still on the cruise, right?
Yeah, I'm just about to go into it. Because I don't have that page in front of me.
Oh,
so
okay. Sorry.
You sent me scurrying.
Sorry. Because I know
Okay.
20
Cruise arrivals, yes. Okay. There we go. I mean, the first thing is that we're 22. Yeah, okay. Cruise arrivals, our historical peak was 796,211. That was in 2019. 796,211 passengers came via cruise ship to St. Lucia in 2019.
So so you say 2019, sorry, Jimmy, was how much?
796,211 passengers came to St. Lucia via cruise ship.
Okay. So we're really underperforming. We're underperforming.
In 2023, last year, 614,980. So, when the government is quick to make comparisons with the recovery years, the years immediately following COVID, which is not completely being honest, because the years following COVID were years where we were recovering from a disaster.
And that is true. That is true, Jimmy. I think this government, they're bamboozling the people, because when you say to St. Lucians, when Shasta was there, look at 2022 and this blah, 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 and look at our figures now. Of course it's going to show an increase. It's going to show higher numbers. The country was shut down, basically. Nada, nothing is happening. How can you compare now and then? How is that fair?
We've got...
We got to be mad people.
We have less cruise ships coming in this year. Came in 2023 than in 2022,
Think about it.
In 2022, there were 275 cruise ships called.
The country is open.
In 2023, it was down to 2020. It was 272. Now, the numbers I just quoted there, that 614,980 people who came via cruise ship, is 77% of the 2019 numbers, like I said before, which was 796,211. We're talking about over 170 or 180,000 less people came to St. Lucia via cruise ship in 2023 than came to St. Lucia in 2019. So how could it be so rosy? When there are no cruise ships, Pastor Garfield, what do you call it? Point Seraphine, the shopping center there, it's a ghost town. La Place Carénage is a ghost town. The vendors alongside the road from the Mont-les-Bains through the valleys, these people, these vendors who stand there waiting for the taxis to drive past, they've got nothing. The tour guides are waiting for them at the sites in Soufrière and along the road. They've got nothing. The beach vendors are on the beach with their chairs and everything to rent out and umbrellas. They've got nothing. The restaurants are waiting for them. They've got nothing. The water taxis, the speedboats are waiting to bring them down to Soufrière. They've got nothing. The taxis are parked on the waterfront in Soufrière, waiting for the visitors to come. They've got nothing because the government, for 2 consecutive years, had no cruise ship calls from May to September in 2022 and 2023. Anybody who worked for a private company and performed so abysmally, they would have been fired.
Yes, yeah.
And it's only in politics and in Caribbean politics, particularly St. Lucian politics, do we accept such mediocrity. Nobody can afford to pay 5 months of operations with no business. And that's what happened to our cruise industry for the past 2 years. I've looked at the cruise schedule this year, and there's a boat called Rhapsody of the Seas, and it looks to be our savior if it comes. Because we know that last year, many of the boats were diverted to Grenada and to the other islands south of us. And that is why Grenada is one of the islands that has already surpassed its 2019 pre-COVID figures.
My God. Leadership matters.
Yes. Performance matters.
Yeah.
But that you mentioned something to do. This is a very topical issue, and I don't mind. I don't know if you mind me just saying just a little bit about it, and that's the
Go ahead.
GPH.
Yes.
I mean, look at the numbers we're talking about. Let's just say this year we get 700,000 cruise passengers. Mm-hmm. Now, let me get my calculator. Just try and do something quickly.
Yeah.
700,000 cruise passengers this year. Let's say that's what we'll get. Mm-hmm. And the government of St. Lucia, through SLASPA, collected $6.50 as a head tax on every cruise passenger. US,
Yeah.
That's equivalent to $4,550,000 US dollars, and multiplied by 2.6 2.7 is 12,285 EC dollars.
12 million?
Yeah.
Wow. So all that is going to GPH.
That's now all going to GPH. Now, of that 650, $1.50 went in the form of environmental tax, for all the rubbish and stuff that they offload off the boats and what have you. So let's work out, they would have deducted 150, around just over $4 per head, EC dollars, to go to the environmental tax, to go to solid waste. That would help fund the solid waste department that's responsible for garbage disposal and collection, etc., etc.
I'm sure
the two garbage
get a little something too.
Yeah, but we've given it all away. So just take that 12 million, multiply it by 30 years. That's $368 million.
$368 million.
Now that's just based on that same $6 without increasing it. And that's taking numbers which are less than 2019. Now the company is forecasting that cruise arrivals will reach 1 million in the short to medium term. So within the next 3 to 5 years, St. Lucia will be receiving 1 million cruise passengers a year. So if we were to take the million and multiply it by the $6.50 and then multiply it by 2.7, now equates to $17,550,000 a year, right? Then multiply it by 30 years, you get $500 million, 526,500,000. Now remember, they could extend that for another 10 years.
10 years.
And from what we know, the price per head, the tax per head, will be increased to $10 US. It was
about
the government,
that, yes.
Right. So it's going to be higher than that.
It's going to be higher.
And we don't know the details of this deal because we don't know the people, the tenants at La Place Carénage and those new things they're going to construct. Who will they be paying the rent to? Will they be paying it to GPH?
I would. You know what? We can speculate because there's an absence of information.
So we're talking about a lot of money.
Wow.
And even with monies that can be used to build St. Jude Hospital over the 30-year period, to repay the loan, monies that can be used to bolster the agricultural industry, which is right now in terrible condition.
But Jimmy, these
monies that can be used to improve the healthcare and security of St. Lucia.
These fellas are acting like bandits because, one, they say to the people, well, GPH deal is a good deal. The government will not do anything, will not go into any deal that is not beneficial to the people of St. Lucia. And then they say to us, well, we look at this beautiful deal. GPH is paying off the loan for SLASPA. No, they're not paying off no loan for SLASPA. That's their loan. That's their loan. That's not SLASPA's loan.
I may sound stupid and ignorant, naive maybe, might be a better way to describe it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to use a phrase made by, I'm going to, borrow a phrase from our Prime Minister. And I'm going to say, I never really understood the saying of a 6 for a 9 until this GPH deal.
Yeah.
See, après ça, moi comprends ça, yo ga di, yo di, yo bay amona 6.9. Moi kon 6.9, c'est la femme tu va anti mama qui passe ça.
Because Jimmy, what I found out is that the loan that SLASPA took was to develop Point Servin port.
For them.
So if GPH is taking over that port, cruise ship port, that's their loan. They're paying off nothing for anybody.
It's their loan. So you're going to give them all the revenue and they give them the building and the improvement and pay the loan for them again? So what's the Prime Minister saying?
St. Louis,
What
what's your bread? Your poison. You all got guts. They got you all good. Mama,
you know,
my God.
I hate to say it, but I'm going to say it.
Say it.
You know me.
These are
I always toe the line of controversy.
decoy way.
If I want a job in the public service, I've got to go through a system.
Mhm.
There's the Public Service Commission,
Commission.
etc., etc. You know,
Mhm.
especially if it's a top job
Yeah.
in the public service. So, but if I'm a politician and I want to push some of my friends and my party supporters
Mhm.
somewhere to give them good jobs, high-paying jobs,
Yeah.
that probably they would be under too much scrutiny. The employment conditions and situation, the processes at places like SLASPA, which is a statutory board,
Yeah.
may be too strict and rigid for me to do what I wanted to do there.
Mhm.
But if there's another company that basically replaces SLASPA, has so much revenue, is minted, I can circumvent the system and put all my friends in there.
And we see
So
something
that
like that
even when the
happening.
government changes, they're still at work. Just imagine that. Because if you make political appointments on boards and different things like that, when the government changes, normally these people in their top positions, they change too.
You change. That's right. That's right.
But if you're now working at GPH and you're a managing director or you're a director of this, or operations, director of finance, director of human resource, etc., the government can change it. You work for a private company. But it's a private company that's running our state.
That's right. And Brother
And
Jimmy,
we paying them to do it.
not only that, they protested Cabot coming to St. Lucia and this other guy in Vieux without money, taking loans from local institutions. Now, the same GPH, they coming with money. They're taking our ports, taking a loan from our banks. And basically, what are they coming in with? They hand swinging. We hand them the keys. We hand them our monies. And the banks loan them extra money.
But that's why I say that the Labour Party, again, it's like the guy who picks up the good-looking woman and the next morning realizes that it's a man. Because, I mean, the argument that the Labour Party presented with reference to Cabot was absolute an absurdity. It was nonsense. It was absolutely ridiculous. Right? Yeah. About our NIC lending a foreign company money. Garbage. First, the land did not belong to St. Lucia. It was
Jimmy,
by a
Buddy, Mr. Buddy, lawyer Buddy, make St. Lucians to believe that it was some government involvement in some massive project. It's government land and blah, blah, blah. And the people went on the beach. Jack don't want them to bathe on the beach.
But
Jack is dead now. Jack took over the whole port.
It was all political machinations. Political manipulation, political machinations. Yeah. And today that the people are realizing, and there are many people who will not admit the truth. Yeah. And I looked at some of the people who are on the beach, people that the people of St. Lucia have had a lot of respect for.
Alvina Reynolds was on the beach too.
People who are held high in high esteem in our society. Yeah. They promoted, coveted, nurtured the lie. Mm-hmm. They could have come out and say, hey guys, to the people of St. Lucia, this is not what you think. It's not unusual for insurance companies to invest in businesses and so forth. That's how they make the interest beyond what's paid at the banks, in loans, in bank accounts, so that they can pay you your pension benefits when you retire.
Yep.
But no,
They turn
There is no
all them
comparison.
people into jacks on the beach up there.
There's no comparison between DSH or Cabot
Yeah.
and GPH.
None.
And the biggest difference is DSH, the lands were unproductive. There was no monies being derived from those lands at the time. Cabot was in receivership.
Yes.
It was
right.
not producing anything. However, our ports of St. Lucia, in the 790 something thousand people that we had in 2019, 796,000 visitors, cruise visitors.
Yeah.
Brought us $13,969,800. We are now giving that away to a company, so they're not starting from scratch.
No. That's ready.
They're starting from they're sitting on the throne already.
Imagine the fellas coming in, Jimmy, to take over a generating something that has there's no problem with Slasper and the ports, financially. None whatsoever. None.
Slasper is one of the best, most productive, and best managed ran statutory institutions in St. Lucia. From the time it was formed by the great Sir John Compton in the 1980s, this organization has been one of the premier organizations in St. Lucia, quasi-governmental organizations in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
And it is, I can't find an adjective to properly describe the monstrosity of this action.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm saying the wrong thing, because every time I think about GPH, I get angry.
You got to.
Because how could the people put their trust in you to represent their interests?
Yep.
How could that be in the interest of the people?
Yep.
This is blatantly clear for everyone to see that this was flagrant betrayal of the people. This is betrayal. I think the biggest betrayal in biblical history was Judas. And after Judas, the next one was Stephenson King, what he did to the United Workers' Party.
Yeah.
So I thought that was second.
Yeah.
But now Stephenson King has gone down to third.
Yep.
And the second biggest betrayal is the GPH deal in St. Lucia. And my thing is, as I said from the start, when I started off, I quoted Martin Luther King about standing up and speaking out. I'm encouraging St. Lucians, it's not too late. It may cost us something, but we have to continue to speak about this GPH deal.
Yes, we got to.
This outrageous, egregious betrayal of the trust of the people.
Yep. Because I just feel that GPH at some point they're going to run into problems, because I tried to do some studies on the on the organization, GPH organization, and I realized that the guys were having some financial issues to the point where they were selling certain ports. How do you sell ports? So that you can float.
But that's interesting. I mean, GPH is getting a loan, right, in St. Lucia. I've heard that they're getting a loan from the Bank of St. Lucia. Yeah. They were negotiating the loan. I don't know if that's already completed and they've received the funds. But there are two things, and I was talking about how naive I am. I may be when I make this point. But I was under the impression that GPH would have started the development, that you would have seen certain things starting, I haven't heard that GPH has got, planning permission, DCA permission to improve the port. Yeah. I haven't heard that. Yep, I haven't seen the drawings, actual drawings. I've seen some renderings.
Yeah.
but I haven't actually seen any architectural or engineering drawings
No.
for the structures that GPH are going to erect in Soufrière and in Castries, Port Castries. So I was under the impression that these guys would start building. So at least you see they have committed themselves.
Yeah.
They have started to spend their money before we give them our revenue.
Yeah. Yep.
So what's going to happen? They're going to take our revenue to secure the loan,
Right.
the forecast of our revenue. Because what are they going to bring for collateral? They cannot take our ports.
No.
They can't use our ports as collateral. The land doesn't belong to them.
The table. Because I am sure
They didn't come-
GPH,
they didn't come to
they're
bring
not
anything.
coming to St. Lucia with $1 in their hand.
They don't have to.
No.
They've been given it.
Everything
They've
is
been
local.
given it.
Yes, everything is local.
You see,
They take the
and
loan,
some-
and the cruise passengers pays the loan. Everything happens right here in St. Lucia. Nothing is coming in. No money coming in from GPAs really, except they will do advertisement and promotion of the port and everything else. But the St. Lucian government could have gone into discussion with the cruise industry
I mean,
and still
the
keep their
hypocrisy of
ports.
the hypocrisy of the Labour Party government is stifling. No, it has senti. Because the Labour Party was the party, the people who made even people like me feel like a foreigner in St. Lucia.
Yeah.
Because there was a time they were considering, they even spoke about it in Parliament,
Yeah.
that people who were not born in St. Lucia could not hold the position of Prime Minister in St. Lucia.
That started in Brooklyn by a Seventh-day Adventist guy who I used to serve as an elder with. When I heard him say that, man, I couldn't believe garbage coming out of his mouth, asking the Prime Minister at a town hall meeting in Brooklyn, Mr. Prime Minister, would you pass a law to stop anyone who is not born in the country? And he speaks with a beautiful accent, talking garbage. Huh? Philip Chipper says, oh, no, we can't do that right now. We can't. Because Philip Chipper knows that there are family members that he himself have who were not born in St. Lucia, and he would love them to become Prime Minister.
And the reason why I brought this up is, you know, there was all this thing about foreigners, friends, family, and foreigners. You know,
Yeah.
Alan Chasney is a white man. We don't want white people. Right? And all of that, right?
We is black.
Yet, we have a company, a statutory institution, staffed and managed by St. Lucians,
Yep,
not products of Canada, as they like to call Alan Lee.
that's right.
Not guys like me who were born in England and said we can't get jobs there. Not whatever. People from St. Lucia. They took it away from them, the ports,
Yeah.
away from the St. Lucians, and gave it to a white people.
man. Yeah.
A white people, a foreigner.
We is black. They gave it to the white.
So you know, there is something I heard some people say. Voler pas aimer ouais voler chaye sac.
That way. That way.
And there's another saying, couille jamet avant couille jamet. And that is the Labour Party. So they quickly come out and say exactly, they make people, you know, fearful. Oh boy, these guys are going to do this. They're going to sell St. Lucia to foreigners, to white people, right? When that is what the intent was from the start.
That's right.
They didn't want you to do it. They call you out. They say, everybody was on guard.
Leave some for us.
And then they came in and say, Yoki fe bagay la. They're the ones who gave the pot to the foreigners. They're the ones contemplating giving our airport to a foreign company as
I'm
well.
not surprised
under
that the
similar
airport will go
conditions.
too.
They're negotiating it right now.
Are you serious?
Of course, there's been this PPP arrangement that they've been trying to put in place. You think the PPP is with a St. Lucian company? It's not with a St. Lucian company. It's with a white people. White people. That's what it's with. And get me right. I have nothing against white people or foreigners or whatever. I'm just repeating them. How ridiculous. Right? How ridiculous. And then when we look at the performance of those guys, tourism, agriculture, It's all on a decline.
All in the decline, yeah. Yeah.
Remember, every Tuesday they called it Madi Pwete. Madi Pwete. Madi Pwete. Alan Shasney is borrowing money. Alan Shasney is borrowing money. Borrowing money, borrowing money, borrowing money. You know, last year, the Labour Party, their loan, they increased the debt of the country by 8.8%.
How long these fellas there for? 3 years already?
No, 1 year.
In 1 year?
Only last year.
Yeah.
Only last year,
You're
2023.
kidding me.
$388.4 million they borrowed last year.
Nah, man. That's a mistake. That's an error.
Bashonji, you borrowed 200 million from the Taiwanese, from the Saudis.
Madisha just said, man.
So happily pay halfly.
Mama.
And you know the thing is, I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but our debt now is $4,783,500,000 as of December 2023. Let me repeat that.
Mercy.
We owe St. Lucia, our debt is $4,783,500,000 under the St. Lucia Labour Party government now.
Mercy.
And they increased our debt by 8.8%.
That's not true.
You know, they used to cry about GDP, cry about GDP, debt to GDP ratio. Alan Shasney, UWP. Our GDP, our debt to GDP ratio, that is the percentage of our GDP that's in debt. It climbed from 69.5% in 2022, at the end of December 2022, to 72.9% by December 2023. Now, if this government was honest when they told St. Lucians that Alan Shasney was borrowing too much, when they told St. Lucians that we need to be careful because our debt-to-income ratio was growing too high, why are they borrowing more than Alan Shasney? Last year, they borrowed more money than Alan Shasney borrowed during COVID.
Yeah.
And COVID was unusual circumstances. It was an emergency. It was a catastrophe. It was a disaster. It was a pandemic.
I saw
unprecedented levels.
Can you explain for me, Jimmy? I'm going to read it for you. Accommodation and food service activities, 2022, 288.2. And in 2023, 223.2. A decline.
That's the revenue derived from that sector. So that's the revenue derived. It fell.
Yeah.
There was a huge drop. And that's the revenue in accommodation, like our restaurants, the food and so forth.
Yeah.
Our from our accommodation sector. It fell. There are very few areas in that report book. Because, when you go to school, you have a report book. Yeah. There are very few areas in that report book that where we have good news, Yeah. We'll go over this for the entire week and we'll not find any good news in there. Everything has declined. And even where it has increased, it has not really increased in real terms. It has increased because there have been increase in costs or increase in the prices. But it's not volume increase. Do you know, Pastor Garfield, that the servicing of our debt has increased by 17.2%? And that has to do not only with the additional monies that the government has borrowed,
right?
It also has to do with the interest rates that we are paying. The government is not able anymore to get these favorable interest rates. When it gets it has been able to get it only in these policy loans. in these policy loans, the 100 million from the World Bank and the 100 million from the Caribbean Development Bank, it had to demonstrate to those lending institutions that it could raise revenue. And that's why they imposed that 2.5% revenue tax levy on us, right? So ordinarily, we are paying like commercial rates for these loans that we have right now, from a lot of the loans. And that has resulted in our debt servicing increasing by 17.2%. Let me explain what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
When you take a loan, you also have a loan repayment.
Right.
You have an amount to pay, which is the capital plus the interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we now have to pay $331.3 million a year in repayment for the loans we have. That was as of December 2023. I'm not even including all the loans we have taken this year, because we have taken hundreds of millions of dollars of loans this year too.
Yeah.
You know, St. Lucians, sometimes these numbers just go over your heads. 331.3 million. What is that? You don't even know what that sounds like, what that feels like. Let me put it a little bit, break it down a little bit. The people of St. Lucia, the taxpayers of St. Lucia, to pay back the loans that this government now presides over, we have to pay $27.6 million a month. And let me make it even simpler. That's equivalent to $907,000 a day. Tous les jours, nous n'y pour payer $900,000 pour payer ces loans cette ligne. Et le gouvernement ça still ka pour un chay loan. Et nous pas ka wè qui ça yo ka fait l'argent.
And there's more to come.
Now, when you add what they have borrowed this year, the 100 million and the 100 million we spoke about, the 64 million for the bonds that they took last week, the 477 million in reissuing those bonds, the other bonds, $10 million for something else, $80 million for the National Lottery Authority. This government has already borrowed, since it's been in office, over $1 billion.
Whoa.
Mwen pa sa pou maji beti sa.
Mama.
$1 billion, mesye. E kou pa ka wè yon ka peut-être la an sa, ou just ka ton 200 million pour St. Jude, 100 million pour ça, 100 million pour ça, 80 million pour ça. E kou pa ka wè yon ka fait. Just yon de tout ki bouche.
Yeah. Wow.
The sky is falling.
Wow.
You see? And he wants to Pwe sevi papi show.
Papi show.
That's what he tries to do.
Yeah, the sky is
Pwe
falling.
sevi papi show. Pwe sevi wizard.
Let's open the phone lines to get some calls. I know there's so much we can't even go through everything, but let's open the lines. 929-586-1821. Folks, the lines are open. We're not going to keep you long on the line. When you call, just be very brief to the point so that we can accommodate as much callers as possible. 929-586-1821. Jimmy, you can go ahead with what you were saying.
Okay. Pastor Garfield, I think I've just noticed the time.
Yeah.
And I know, as you said, figures tend to, after a while, people can't take anymore.
People can't.
So I am suggesting that maybe at another date,
let's do another one.
Come back again, and to go through some more of the horror story in the Social and Economic Review.
Yeah, let's do part 2.
But just talking about how bad it is in St. Lucia is not going to change things. If the United Workers' Party believes...
We have a call coming in, Jimmy. Caller, you on the air. Caribbean American News Media.
Good night, Garfield.
Good night, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah, good night.
I think that Jimmy is very knowledgeable about a lot of things. and I'm not gassing him up when I say that I would like to patent his brain.
Yeah.
But I want him to please, please, please do not make any recommendations on air or give any advice that the SLP can act upon and get their house in order. Allow them to continue to mislead, allow them to continue to display their lack of vision, continue to highlight their incompetence, and at the 11th hour, we will reveal our strategy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, caller. All right. That was a very short caller. Jimmy, we have another call coming in. Caller, you're on the air. Caribbean American News Media.
Good night, Brother Garfield and Jimmy.
Good night.
How are you guys doing? Good?
Great call.
Good night. Good night.
Okay. I'm just going to say quickly, Brother Garfield, that this is what we're looking at in St. Lucia. I mean, Jimmy has done a great job giving us those figures, and we are living in a dismal situation in St. Lucia. And I think it's about time we write up a damn petition and sign it to petition this government out of our parliament. Thank you very much, everyone.
Oh my God, our caller is on fire. Thank you so much, caller. Jimmy, what do you say?
I agree with her. We know desperate times call for desperate measures, and we have to do what we have to do. I agree with the gentleman who called a bit earlier about not giving advice to the government. I understand. Sorry, not that I agree. I understand. But if we all stand by and say nothing to allow our country to descend into chaos, into a place where it becomes ashes, why do we do that? Just so that we can come in government? You know, we're not going to behave like the Labour Party, where they will do anything to get into power.
We have another caller. Yeah, caller you on the air, Caribbean American News Media platform.
Good evening, Brother Garfield, and good evening, Brother Jimmy. Good program
sir.
As usual.
Yeah, thank you.
I want Brother J, if it's possible, I don't know if time permits, that Brother Jimmy can make a comparison between the 3 years. We've been fair. The 3 years of Alan Shastney when it came to borrowing vis-a-vis the current 3 years of the St. Lucia Labour Party, so that St. Lucians can see which government borrowed the most, because every government has to borrow. We get that. But the Labour Party talked, like the Brother Jimmy indicated earlier, the Labour Party, how would I put it? They spoke so much about borrowing. They made borrowing seem like a curse, a cancer, Madi Puite, and all kind of things they said during the run-up to the last general election. So if Brother Jimmy, I don't know if you have those figures right now before him, but if you can make a comparison in the last 3 years of the Alan Shastney administration, vis-a-vis the 3 years of this current clueless Labour Party government. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Yes, Jimmy.
No, I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but from my memory, the United Workers' Party borrowed, I think, around $780 million in their term in office, which includes COVID. And like I just said, in less than 3 years, the Labour Party has already borrowed $1 billion.
Wow.
$1 billion is 1,000 millions, 1,000 million. And in 5 years, the United Workers' Party, the previous administration, borrowed just over somewhere between $700 and $800 million. And that throws in, it makes it quite clear, because there's still 2 more years and a couple more months to go before the term is over. And I'm sure next year they will borrow. This year they'll probably still borrow more. Next year they will borrow. And the year after that they'll borrow, 2026, unless they call the elections early, because they will have to borrow.
So we have 2 more years of borrowing.
As I was saying, Pastor Garfield,
yes, sir,
we can't sit idly by and let our country descend into chaos. That would be irresponsible of us, because my country comes before my political allegiance. My family comes before my political allegiance. My community comes before my political allegiance. My own well-being comes before my political allegiance. And I hope that most St. Lucians think that way. That we now know that this government needs help. They have been proud just to present a facade that they are not. So when the United Workers' Party offered them advice to do with the crime situation, the Prime Minister boasted that he put it in the bin.
Yeah.
But now he's throwing his hand in the air, he's pulling out hair that he doesn't have on his head, and he's saying he's at his wit's end.
He's tired.
He is offering anybody who can come with some suggestions that they will get the position of national security. You know, so this is the government, a 649, a 649. But I'm not offering them advice. I'm not. That's not my place. You know.
Yeah.
And even as I'm here as Jimmy Haynes. If
That's
you notice,
right.
I'm wearing a blue shirt.
Yeah.
I'm not here representing the United Workers' Party.
That's
The United Workers' Party has its spokespeople
Yeah.
who speak for the United Workers'
That's
Party.
right.
I'm speaking as an individual. I'm a supporter. I'm a member of the United Workers' Party.
Yeah.
But I'm not here on behalf of the United Workers' Party. They did not send me here to come and speak on their behalf.
That's right.
And therefore, whatever I speak here are the facts that I've read from the Economic and Social Review and from my experience of having been in politics over since 2001, having served as a a branch chairman on two occasions. Even in the last elections, 2021, I was the branch chairman for Swazel, Saltibus. We won our seat.
Good. Good job.
Not many people, branch chairman, who could say so. Sorry, it's unfortunate. And I've been a campaign manager twice. In 2006 in Swazel with Rufus Busquet, and we won.
Wow.
And in 2016 in Soufrière with Harold Stanislas, and we won.
So you know, Jimmy, how to win elections. Let me ask you a question.
I know how to win in the difficult areas.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You know, a lot of people need to listen to you, Jimmy. So talk to me about ground game before we leave. We don't.
Ground game is simple. Part of my life, I've been a salesperson, been a sales manager. I've been in the selling business. And I know that the best way to sell is to develop relationships.
Yeah.
And in the campaigns that I've been involved in, I have always pushed relationship building.
Yeah.
You see, when you develop a relationship with somebody, then you get to know more about them and they get to know more about you.
Yes.
And it's when you know about them, you know what makes them tick, you know what is their hot button.
Yeah.
Then you're able to make prescriptions for them. But how do you get to know them if you don't meet them?
That's right.
How do you get to know them if you don't meet them frequently?
Yeah.
In a political campaign, it's just like war. Right now in Israel, before Israel went into Gaza, they bombed it.
Yeah.
They threw it. They sent in cruise missiles. They came in with planes and they dropped bombs. The cruise missiles coming from land, from the sea. They bombarded the place.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they sent in their ground troops.
Yeah.
And the ground troops' responsibility, their role is to secure land, secure the ground.
Yep.
That has been bombed. Push the enemy out, capture them,
That's
neutralize them, and secure that land. It's the same in a political campaign.
Yep.
Right now, the United Workers' Party is in an aerial assault. It's conducting an aerial assault. By that I mean, we're in the media, like even tonight.
Yeah.
We're talking to people, hopefully people who are experiencing what they're experiencing now, and we're hoping to hear that maybe there's going to be a solution.
That's right.
We have the talk shows, we have the conferences, the press conferences, And those type of activities, social media, these are aerial assaults. But the ground warfare means that you build a network in the communities of the ordinary people who own the campaign. You empower them
Yep.
with the information that we are given, even some of the information we give here,
Yeah.
and that now, because they have relationships on the ground,
True.
they know their neighbors, they know their cousins and their grandmother and their auntie and their workers and what have you. They know them better than us. We are talking to a people and we're not listening, we're not hearing their responses. So when we have a meeting, like a town hall meeting, we talk to the people, right? There are 200 people sitting in front of us. There are hundreds of people listening or watching on the media. But we don't hear what they're saying. So we might be talking about CPI, CIP, and the person is not interested in CIP. The person is not interested if St. Lucia loses their visas. I'm not saying it's not important.
Yeah.
But for the person, what's important? They cannot afford to buy a tank of gas.
Yeah.
For the person, they cannot afford to put bread and tea on the table for their family. But we may be speaking about, take for example what we've spoken about this evening.
Yeah.
Tourism went down, and the guy hasn't got down to the tourism. You know what the guy does? He takes his hoe and his cutlass, and he goes up the road, and he goes to a hand to mouth. Around 11 o'clock, he collects $50. Maybe they give him some tea, and he goes home. That $50 now, he has to be able to afford to feed his family. Pays rent if he has rent to pay, pays electricity, his water, his utilities, etc., send his children to school. That's what he knows. So we have to get on a political party to be successful. It has to get on the ground.
Yeah.
And how do you get on the ground? People say the ground, the ground, the ground. But the vehicle that's on the ground, it is part of the structure of the United Workers' Party.
That's right.
It is the constituency branch. That is the vehicle that you use on the ground to get around. That is the vehicle you use on the ground to build that network. That is the vehicle you use on the ground to disseminate information. That is the vehicle you use on the ground to mobilize people so that when you have an activity like a march or a public meeting or so forth, that you have people leaving from those communities to come and support their party. And that's where you see the numbers.
Yeah.
But if those organs, those organizations, the constituency branches are not functioning, then it means that the organization is performing at the level of, right now, the government of St. Lucia is performing. Below par, way below par, because the 17 constituencies or a majority of the 17 constituencies may not be functioning well. During the election campaign, there is a structure. There are, for example, in Swazel, there are 9 polling divisions where people go to vote. It's called a polling divisions. All the communities that go to vote in a particular place, like in a particular school or wherever that place may be, it's a polling division. They call the building a polling station, but the division are all the communities that votes in that place. Inside of that polling station, there are boxes, ballot boxes. Each party has agents that sits in the rooms with the ballot boxes who make sure that the business of their party is protected and it's been done in the right way. That there's no cheating, no kukumakakri taking place where the voting is happening. There are 2 agents, a minimum of 2 agents in each box. So take Delse, my area. There are 4 boxes. So there are 8 agents. Right? Each room should have a standby agent, just in case one of the agents falls sick or has to relieve themselves or so forth. You have a standby that can replace them. On the outside, you have an operation going. You have vehicles going to pick up people to bring them to vote. You have people who ride on those vehicles, who go knock the doors and say, hey, anali. Machine ka espo boshime. There are 100-yard lines, and you've got agents standing on the 100-yard lines. In some cases, we're talking about certain polling divisions have about 30 to 40 people working for their party, right? You have a canvassing operation that takes place where people go house to house. All of these people are still there, most of them. The ones who worked during the election process, then the campaign of 2021, they're still there. Mm-hmm. You want to build a grassroots network, you start with them. Most of them already know who voted for us, who didn't vote. They know where our people are because the drivers went to the people's homes to pick them up or to drop them off. The people who went running around, we call the runners, went to pick them up, they're there. Have we mobilized them? They need to be mobilized. You may not get all of them because some of them may have, I'm not willing to get back involved in this, but you'll get a percentage and you have a start. That's how you get back onto the ground.
That's right. We're talking about everyone, all total membership involvement, everybody getting involved on the ground.
Yes, absolutely. It's like you behave as if the elections are next month.
Jimmy, I see some folks, I'm just seeing some notes there. Don't give out information. We're not giving out any information, folks. There is no information given out there that is not out there. These are just political strategies that all parties use. Jimmy is not giving out any private and confidential information to anyone.
I have no information from the party, so the information I give out is just based on my experience and what I'm recommending to the party.
Yeah, and in my judgment, this is good. We're encouraging our listeners to get involved. Join your local groups. Get involved. Absolutely. Don't just come under the lives and listen. You got to be on the ground. That's the point. Right, Jimmy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for example, I look. Oh my goodness, my battery's going low. Sorry.
Okay.
I look and I see the number of people who follow the lives and they don't share it. The number of people who get these videos and stuff and they don't share it.
They don't share.
They would share the stuff, the rural stuff. They would share it.
Yeah.
But they would not share
the
constructive stuff, the stuff that would educate the people to make them better. So, like I said earlier, I'm not here on behalf of the party. I have no information. I don't belong to any constituency branch. No, sorry, I'm not a member of any constituency branch executive. I'm not privy to anything that the party is doing now. So maybe some of the things I'm recommending, the party is already doing it or has already considered it and considered that it's not the best way to go and they go another way.
And we know the party, they're working very hard, tirelessly to get the machine well oiled.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because if we can't depend on the United Workers' Party to get its act together, as the party in waiting, then Kwapo smoke our pipe.
That's right. That's right.
Because the destruction that is taking place in our government right now, the amount of borrowing, the demise of so many of the productive sectors.
That's right.
And all the other things that are spoken about on the talk shows and everything all over that I'm not going to go over this evening.
No.
If the UWP cannot step up and take care of, make sure that they're ready to replace this Labour Party, then we need to get worried.
Yeah, we got to get worried. Yeah, the SLP got to go. There's no doubt about it. We need to bring back some normalcy to governance in the country, or we'll have a lot of 40 years lease in the country. never be able to recover. Yeah. But Jimmy, thank you so much for coming on. I know your phone is dying, your device.
My laptop. Yeah.
And I have a hard appointment, God's willing, in the morning that I can't get away from. And so, Jimmy, I really appreciate you coming. I really, honestly, most of the audience, they're saying that you did a tremendous job in bringing information to them. And we look forward to for Jimmy to do part 2. This time you'll be able to see him.
Yeah, well, my eyes will be normal, my face will be normal. My allergies will be gone by then.
Yeah. I'm sure the allergies is beating you down really bad. I'm sure of that. Yeah. But Jimmy, thank you so much for the information. We really appreciate it. And any final words to the audience, Jimmy?
Yeah, well, just like you said, these are hard times and trying times in St. Lucia. It's a time for people we can't stay on the sidelines and just complain about it. We need to get involved. And so the constituency branches need help. And there are a lot of people, a lot of us who are even on this, listening to this show right now this evening, who can help. Become a part of your constituency branch. Join the constituency branches. Assist your party. The party cannot do it all by itself. The executives, Alan Chasney and Guy Joseph and Dominic Fede and Nancy Charles and TP cannot do it by themselves.
Yeah.
Your chairman, your branch chairperson and their executive cannot do it by themselves.
No.
And you have to play your part. And you might be asking, Ki Gaimaya sa? From sa? You'll be able to save your country.
Yeah.
Because right now, that's what our country needs. Our country is in a mess and it needs to be rescued. Thank you, Pastor Garfield, for inviting me. I enjoyed it. It's unfortunate there's so much I had prepared.
Yes.
But as you said, I appreciate it. I'll be prepared for the next time.
Yeah, yes. We'll have part 2 for
sure. Thanks for being patient with me. And don't stone me when you see me.
You all heard that, listeners. You all like to stone your all own. Stop stoning people that know how to win. And that's a fact.
Last party about a land. Is a land do this, and a land do that. Is a land do this. That man feel is smart. That is the strategy to keep people talking about he. Even the heavy roller, calling he Johnny Walker. Is a land do this, and a land do that. He brainwashing we, even that singing about he. Oh lad, is a land do this, a land do that, a land do this, a land do that. 15 do that, Walker. Oh lad, a land, a land, a land. Is a land do this. And a land do that. Is a land do this. That man feel is smart. All the ministers and the PM, he more popular than them. Is them causing the problem cause they have a name like an anthem. Is a land do this. And a land do that. Stop playing game. Stop calling a name. Is a land do this. A land do that. Do this. Do that. A land do this. Alan do that. Hey. Tous les jours on ça. If the man go on a holiday up in Toronto, oi. Next day is big news on TV and radio, oi. To remain in the limelight, that is what he's looking for. To be popular, is a Pakatan, last party about a land. Is a land do this, and a land do that. Is a land do this, that man feel is smart. That is the strategy to keep people talking about he. Even the heavy roller, calling he Johnny Walker. Is a land do this, and a land do that. He brainwashing we, even like singing about he. Oh Lord, is a land do this, a land do that, a land do this, a land do that. 15 Walker, oh Lord, a land, a land, a land. Is a land do this, and a land do that. Is a land do this. The man feel is smart. All the ministers and the PM, he more popular than them. Is them causing the problem, cause they have a name like an anthem. Is a land do this, and a land do that. For playing game,